The Volkswagen Arteon receives a facelift, and alongside there comes the new body variant, here the Arteon Shooting Brake. We're going to take a detailed look at this one here today and going to drive it as the R-Line. So, VW Arteon Shooting Brake R-Line today here on Autogefühl, exterior, interior and the driving experience. Thomas in front of the camera, Michelle behind the camera, bringing the camera magic. And everything of that, as usual, in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! In the front, the new Arteon facelift, both for the new shooting brake, but also for the standard sedan version, which is now called Gran Turismo. So in the front, has been changed, updated with the lamps, LED signature here, wider than before. And then also you have this middle light strip that looks really fancy. R-Line badge here, and the R-Line also features a sportier lower bumper here in the contrasting design. And wow, from the front, a very sensual and sporty design, definitely. Here, this additional lip that was also here before. The fastback variant, by the way, also available on the US market. And then here you can see LED is standard and optional. This car also has it as an adaptive LED that also, swings in the corners and also has, some adaptive function for the high beam. The Matrix LED, however, not available yet for the Arteon. The length is at 4.86 meters, 15'9" or 191 inches. And the wheelbase of the Arteon is 5 centimeters or 2 inches longer than the one of the Passat. Here you can see the new shooting brake design with this roofline that is carried all over the place here. And although it's in estate form, a very strong shoulder part here. So this makes this side profile also very beautiful. Chrome around the windows right here. This being the R-Line with the badge and also this chrome lower bumper. 20-inch wheels here today, they are an option. They would be standard for the true R model, the new Arteon R. Usually 18-inch wheels would be standard for this R-Line. But again, we have the most massive wheels here, 20-inch for today. Wow, definitely a very striking look. And also this King's Red color, new color also and really striking. We also have some other colors for you today. For example, also a white shooting brake or also a blue one in this so-called Kingfisher blue. Eisvogel, it would be in the German market, for example. And as I said, there's still also the Arteon as the sedan version or this fastback. And that is then called Gran Turismo now and has the different shape in the very rear and also available on the US market. But some of you have already said that this one here now, the shooting brake, is actually the favorite one as for the design. And in the rear we see the very central design here of the shooting brake. It's very special and also nice how this kind of wing is integrated then in the rear hatch. Horizontally drawn tail lamps with a very modern LED signature inside. And being the R-Line here, we have a sporty design in the lower part right here, also with the black contrast. And this big Arteon lettering here, this looks actually quite fancy. And to flip the logo here, this will be then for the rear view camera both and also to open the hatch. As for engines, here we still have gas struts. In some markets you still get the base engine, the 1.5 TSI. In Germany, however, it already starts here with the 2-liter TSI turbo petrol engine, either with 190 horsepower or here today with 280 horsepower and then automatic all-wheel drive. So this is already a very strong engine. Even stronger would be the new true Arteon R with 320 horsepower then, but the same engine block. This one then, however, then the R gets a torque vectoring system at the rear, so you can have more torque at one wheel, so you get, better push out of the corner. Very interesting. Today the R-Line with the second strongest engine, and at a later stage then the true R model also for you. is the car key. It's the old school one, but I found it more beautiful and more premium than the new ones from the Golf 8 or so with the high gloss black. So this is actually better, I think. Close the car like this, open like this when you have the keyless entry option. And then, interesting, this is the car then here with frameless doors. You know, beautiful design element, definitely. And what about the door closing sound? Very solid and impressive. So this is one of the very rare cars that has a great door closing sound, although they are frameless doors. And you see also there's the dual insulation here. It's double glass insulation, so this is also very good then for the noise insulation while driving. Inside of the doors, new Harman Kardon sound system. This is the option 12 speakers, so this is also quite new to the VW world. Reasonable door pockets like this. Then being the R-Line, you also have the perforated steering wheel like this, and also comes here with a new steering wheel with capacitive buttons. This looks fancy. They are also illuminated, but they are harder to use while driving. That's the thing. So, yeah, but as far as I know, a base version Arteon would still come without the capacitive buttons, but I'm gonna check that out for you. Here you can see these seats here are the so-called top sport seats, and also with the R logo, but they are not base for the R-Line. And they are also only available as animal skins, so you should not go for these. They are also then hotter in summertime and colder in wintertime. Usually the Arteon R-Line would come with microfiber seat, then the seat also without the integrated head restraint. And this is also then better as for the climate comfort. A base Arteon would come with a base fabric seat that is surface-wise actually the best. The one with the microfiber looks the coolest. Then here the seating position is actually still quite good. The spots here with the integrated head restraint are from the seating form, also quite decent. Steering wheel here, manual up and down, in and out, like this. And we also have new digital gauges, soon more to that. Headroom-wise, you know, not the most plentiful headroom. With one with 86 or 6 with 1, I still can fit in here, no problem. And we also have the panoramic roof, turning on the ignition like this. So there's a shade, electric shade, and also we can open it completely and have some more, not sun today, some more rain inside. Now the updated interior of the Arteon here, horizontal stress, also with the air vents right here, a clean and elegant design, soft touch dashboard with stitching right here. Then the new steering wheel looks really fancy, and especially with the R-Line badge and the perforated sides. Interesting is that with a base Arteon, you still get the manual buttons. And as for this, I would recommend to go with the base version. You save money and also have, you know, just proper buttons. Here it looks cooler and also illuminated, but as I said, yeah, it's hard to control this here for the screen on the right side, and on the left side you control cruise control, but you get nuts while doing that while driving. The third thing is here the travel assist that combines the adaptive cruise control with the side assist is only available here with the new steering wheel, because that's actually a cool feature. It's capacitive. That means the car realizes that you touch the steering wheel, that you're still there just by touching it and not by, you know, a turning command. So either base steering wheel, easy buttons, easy cruise control. You can get the normal adaptive cruise control with the base steering wheel, and I think I would go with that one. Or if you want the extended travel assist with the capacitive steering wheel, then you have to live with these capacitive buttons. Then in higher trims you get this one here. This is this new capacitive climate unit. You can slide like this or you can press. And I mean, for a capacitive climate unit, it is still fairly easy to control. So that's more or less okay, because the touch area is quite big. The temperature indicator is quite big, so it's okay. Still, a base version, again, has some, you know, advantages right here. Let's put it off for a second. And then more info to the infotainment system. Soon a close-up to the screens each. So left side would be 11.7-inch digital instruments. Only digital instruments anymore. No analog left. Here on the right side you have this gesture function, but it's pretty much useless. Always faster just to do it like this. Here it starts with an 8-inch screen. And you still then have two knobs, left and right, one for the volume, right side then for zooming in and out of the GPS, for example. What is quite nice that now the Apple Carplay is wireless available, so we have the smartphone here on the lower part with inductive charging pad. And this is really good because with a cable it would not fit, but here in that way it fits in there. And so I have also wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto also available, by the way. So both are available, and as I said, well, with the wireless, but sometimes it's also better just to use the cable for recharging a little bit faster. Then here, DSG, dual clutch transmission, the drivetrain, of course, front plus rear on demand with an all-wheel drive model. And here we have the driving mode selector, and that is then, for example, here for the DCC. If you have that option, dynamic chassis control, that is the adaptive suspension. You should go for that option to make the ride more comfortable and to have some variation between soft and harder ride. We have this slider here and then adaptive cup holders. They are very well usable. Here's space for your key, 12-volt power supply, and then this very well attached armrest. And now with two USB-C chargers. Now the digital instruments, they are not flickering on the human eye, just here on camera. Then you can change the view. This is, of course, one of the best things. Here, map all over the place. You see, the more map we see, the more it flickers. But again, just on camera. This is actually a nice view we have here. And then we can also zoom in and out of the map with the buttons at the steering wheel, or just have this view or this. And, you know, also the consumption figures and so on, or also the assistance system. So you're really quite flexible with what you have here. And here we go with the head-up display on a separate plastic layer, plastic glass, which is not adequate to a car of this class and this size. However, it is still an option that might be useful here for the speed and current speed and also GPS info. And you can also adjust the height. And it's actually quite easy to do that with a separate knob left next to the steering wheel. So at least easy to control, even though it's not the most sophisticated that is projected directly into the windscreen. Now details to the 9.2-inch screen. Here the Apple CarPlay integration all over the screen, and the new 12-speaker Harman Kardon sound system. So let's listen to that. That's nice. So indeed, we didn't have such a clarity in the sound in the Arteon yet. So I think our verdict for music lovers, thumbs up.
Also a very good choice of music.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. So yeah, that was our playlist recommendation for today as well. And then let's go to the main menu. You either have this one or a special home screen you can also set yourself. And the main menu looks like this. Slide here and there. And let's take a look at the GPS in detail. And this new software here, since like 1 or 2 years, to me a little bit more complicated. Here you can directly click your recent addresses, but you can see here it could be a little bit more responsive. So, and the thing is, they are all running over the same backend, and also the systems by Audi and so on. And so these cloud-based systems now, they give you better traffic information and so on, but they sometimes are also slower than overall. Air conditioning can be reached right here as well, but as I said, you still have the climate unit in the lower part and even the total manual one then if you go with a base version. So still quite good as for the overview. We've seen it worse recently. This system here is still way better than the one we see in the new Golf 8 or in the ID3. And the rear view camera, which is available either here at the 360-degree camera. See the people passing by, and here we can also, whoa, that's fancy. Is that really useful for driving? I don't know, but here we can do more fancy stuff, but not the color is not really shown. However, I think the standard rear view camera is actually still the most useful one, and the resolution is actually quite good. Here like this, or then you have the drone from above left next to it. So I think this view is just the easy one and also a more helpful one, I think. Then the rear compartments. Here you can see that the top part is also somewhat soft touch. That's nice. Also more speakers of this sound system, and integration of the handle here is quite nicely done. Also soft touch here. And then you see already a lot of legroom we have. And let's take a seat. Indeed, here with this optional sport seat, it's a little bit more voluminous here. So you could have a little bit more legroom even, but I mean, plenty of legroom left. That's really cool. And here the shooting brake gives you a little bit more flexibility as for the headroom. So even for tall people in the rear, again 1.86 m or 6'1", still leaves some headroom right there, even though we have the panoramic roof. So this would be one advantage then here of the shooting brake. However, the Gran Turismo or the fastback is also just fine as for the headroom here in the rear. But yeah, a lot of space here and very, very comfortable. What about the middle seat, which is not the primary focus, and this one goes then a little bit higher, and then I do hit the ceiling. So it's more some kind of a single seating setup. Isofix at the outside each, and we have a rear climate unit. If you have the 3-zone AC, this is the Climatronic option, also with seat heating. And however, the 3-zone AC is connected with the capacitive sliders. So if you have the base climate unit with the better to control while driving knobs, then you don't have the 3-zone AC, which would also reach the rear. And then in the lower part, a real power socket there. And here the middle tunnel. Once again, it's a front-wheel driven platform, but also then all-wheel drive on demand for the powerful models. So it will be front plus rear then always. So even more than the front wheel focus stays like this, sure, but the more you accelerate, the more power will also be put to the rear. Boot volume 580 to 1630 liters. A little bit more here with the shooting brake, of course, than with the new Gran Turismo now named. Here, just press it, clean solution with the rails right there, and you see massive cargo area. And again, the Gran Turismo version would be a little bit limited here in the height, but it's not the biggest difference. You see here there's a loading still, but then you also get very high loading area. And just some sample luggage here in for you. This is very interesting. You have these hangers here at the side, and you can use them for bags, or for example to secure a backpack here that it doesn't fall over when it needs to stand upright. Maybe you have lunch inside or whatever. Then like this, and below that there is still possibility for replacement tire or for some sound equipment. And you see you have this step right there because there's no, in this vehicle, not an additional cargo layer. And then some measurements. I already folded one of the seats, and here the normal length is already quite substantial. It's like 1.15 meters, and the length then to the seat as I would be driving, like this. That's really massive. This is 2 meters, a whole 2 meters. Wow, that's impressive indeed. And also the height right here, since there's no additional layer, as I said, here to the cover, that is 53 centimeters. So overall, very, very well usable. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the VW Arteon Shooting Brake. Here with the powerful 280 horsepower engine. We go to the sports mode, then we already go to the sports shifting mode. It says S, so the gears are turned up higher then. And we have the all-wheel drive. So that means, although the road is a little bit wet, we have to be somewhat careful, of course. But since we have the all-wheel drive, we still can get the power to the ground. And this is, of course, pretty cool. That's 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour, so pretty impressive. The official figure, we have to see how that one worked out. Official figure is 5.6 seconds, and that's 0.5 seconds slower than the true Arteon R will be. So this one, again, already very powerful in the same base engine block, and even if we are already at speed 60 to 100, that's it, and actually quite nice engine sound. So here the 280 horsepower engine together with the R-Line design is the closest one to the true Arteon R, and this really drives very well. So a good performance. Also here, as I said, wet roads, so the all-wheel drive brought it very well to the ground. In these harsh accelerations, really a lot of power is transported to the rear. A maximum of 50-50 is physically possible, not more than that actually. Steering wheel is actually quite nice as a grip here in the R-Line, and also quite direct and also precise. So I like that here. I don't have to steer that much. and I have very good feeling and control over the steering. So, the inductive charging pad here makes a little bit, put it like this. So back to the steering. As I said, when you follow the corners here and how I have to turn the steering, you see I don't have to turn it that much. Very progressive characteristic. So that's a lot of fun. And yeah, driving in the sports mode is really nice. And I mean, it's a 2-liter engine, 4-cylinder. But the sound, of course, also helped by this actuator, is really nice. In the sports mode, we have a more sonorous sound that's also transported here to the interior end. Of course, I have to be a little bit careful, not driving too fast here at the wet road, but this really feels very sporty. It's a car with a long wheelbase, so we also have a lot of stability when running straight, but this car feels really sovereign. The DCC, dynamic chassis control, the adaptive suspension, in the sports mode is a little bit stiffer, but at the same time, even if we are in the stiff mode, it gives us a very, very good comfort indeed. So it's not that in the sports mode it's too stiff overall. When we pick it here and go to the normal mode, it's a little bit softer as for suspension. You also hear that the engine is more silent. The gears are turned up higher than more optimized for a better fuel economy. But still, you know, this car delivers us a very good compromise between sportiness and comfort. So I'm really, really happy, and I'm driving 100 kilometers an hour already. Well, okay, that happened. Yeah, so I have to keep my driver's license, so I also try to obey the speed limits, even though we do some faster driving here in our reviews, of course. Whatever. Beautiful countryside here also, near the Harz region in Germany, basically just in the middle of Germany, a little bit more to the north. And here in the normal mode, you see here, throttle input is not that harsh, so when you, for example, wait for a shift down, you can do it yourself here with the shifting pedals, for example here, then shift down yourself, then you're on the gas. But when you drive a little bit sportier, then the S mode is definitely more helpful, so you can just get on the gas a little bit, a little bit easier. Here now going towards city, a little bit slower. Good noise insulation, by the way. You heard it also when we were at 100 kilometers or 60 miles. Really silent on the interior. You have seen the dual insulating windows right there. And even here in the city, it's not a short car, but since it's so easy to handle, you don't need much force, in the steering. It's really such an easy drive. So, not a small car, but very, very easy. Those guys out here are driving really, really fast, even here in the city. Not sure what's happening here. So, again, so easy to handle, and in the slalom, also very well performing. Again, the commands that I put in with the steering are followed very, very well with the vehicle. Is it a difference between the shooting brake and the now called Gran Turismo in driving? Not really. So there is something different in the rear, yes, and it might minorly change the weight distribution, but not that much. They are at the very same length and so on. So this is totally comparable. This head-up display here at the separate glass layer is, I would say it's somewhat helpful, so I have a good view then to the front to that. It's better than having nothing, so I don't have to look down here to the normal instruments and so on. Of course, as I said earlier, it would be better when you have a car in that segment if you would directly have it with a proper projection and so on. Here the shifting lever, you can also put it to the right side, then you can also shift with that. That would be possible. And that you can also pull it backwards to go into the sports shifting mode. So then you only here in the sports shifting mode have a little bit more, throttle input like this, easier, but you stay with the normal DCC options. So when you want a softer ride, still at the same time want a sportier shifting, you can choose this. Or you can also individualize your driving mode. This would also be possible. Again, I'm really, really pleased by how this car is driving. The throttle input here for the 280 horsepower version, especially in the sports mode, really nice. Such a comfortable ride. The sport seats are also fairly comfortable. Yeah, yet again, the animal skin surface is really stiff from the surfacing. So the microfiber seats or the base fabric seats They're different in the seat form, will be a little bit more open, a little bit more comfortable, and also the seating surface adapts a little bit more to the body, so this will bring even more comfort. But we have to remind ourselves, this car was equipped with the optional 20-inch wheels. And although they're the biggest 20-inch wheels mounted here, the car is still super comfortable as for the suspension. That's what I really, really like about this vehicle, so that's very, very well done. So if you want an even more soft or plush ride, then you could also just go with smaller wheels. And I mean, this car will still look good even with 18-inch wheels, so that won't be an issue at all. Also good feeling here in the brakes, no problem as for that. Assistance systems, we can order like this, the blind spot monitor that will then be projected here into the side mirrors when someone wants to overtake us. Maybe at the point where that one car overtook us, maybe you've seen that, I don't know, I didn't really pay attention to that. And then there's new travel assist here together with the capacitive steering wheel in the R-Line or the Elegance in Europe trim. And this goes up to a speed of 210 kilometers an hour. And the interesting thing is that the ACC is then combined with the side assist. Here, of course, in most situations in this countryside roads, we want to steer ourselves. But here, when we activate the travel assist, then we can keep the car to the distance to the car in front of us, and the car is also keeping the lane by itself. It is better to test it actually on the motorway than on these B roads here. Let's see. Here you see this car is also steering by itself somewhat, and also here speed is being reduced by the travel assist. Now the all-wheel drive, front wheel biased, but what happens when I accelerate out here from standstill? Nice, and again 100 kilometers an hour. Wow, that's pretty fancy. And have you seen the steering wheel, how straight it was kept? I mean, there's no like special differential lock for this vehicle or so, but although it's front wheel biased, so much power was transported to the rear wheels that I get very good grip. I mean, still wet road, but there was no slip, whatsoever. And I didn't have like this typical front wheel biased, the steering wheel pulls me in a direction or so with understeering. So there, everything is ruled and enough is ruled to the rear axle that it don't have this effect. So again, what a flawless acceleration out of a corner while having a wet road. So I'm also very happy with this all-wheel drive distribution. So you don't feel this front wheel biased in here in this version. And wow, I mean, it's so much fun to steer this car around. Although it's not the smallest sporty vehicle, it gives really a lot of driving pleasure right here. And it will be even more so in the Arteon R, the true R model, which will have a little bit more horsepower. So again, I can say driving-wise, the assistance systems work quite well. Noise insulation is at a good level. Great acceleration here with a 280 horsepower engine, a lot of fun. Definitely steering crisp and precise. So everything driving-wise related, the whole chassis you feel and so on, just flawless, absolutely superb, great compromise, sportiness and comfort at the same time. Infotainment system, not as bad as in the ID.3 or in the new Golf, somewhat okay still, the comparable one as in the Passat. Still, the older ones were a little bit more reliable and faster. Base versions still have the more, like the easier climate unit. This is somewhat okay, but again, controlling it while driving is easier with the turning knobs, but here somewhat okay. Yeah, not too bad, but also not ideal. But setting here the cruise control on with these capacitive buttons, this really requires like I have to look at the steering. What's steering now? Like here, plus and minus goes like 10 kilometer steps, and then again, what is activated? What is deactivated now? You really, I mean, even if an experienced car driver, you get mad, And then let's see if they have these steps here. They have different philosophies here with the capacitive buttons. So here they changed it now already. So let's see when I set here -1 kilometer, resume +1 kilometer steps, and plus and minus 10 kilometer steps. So they changed it now in the ID3. It's still that you have like a 2-layer. When you have plus, you can press it like in a small step and then further in. But then they realized no one really, gets that. It's too complicated, and so they change it here that they have it on set and resume, like with the button steering wheel. That's the same system than here, but still, it's so complicated to control it while driving. This is not a step forward, although it looks definitely fancy. Heated steering wheel option, I have it on 3 levels, it is set. That is also a very nice one to have. Once again, back here in the city, calm driving experience. So I think once again, user interface here and there with the new Volkswagen models is sometimes a little bit doubtful, although it's not as bad, as I said, as in the ID3 and in the new Golf 8. But driving-wise, once again, still based on the smaller platform they have, not on not the same platform as an Audi A6 or something. Therefore, also a little bit cheaper. Once again, all things driving related, a great and awesome experience. As for the fuel economy, I'll also do a reset right now, because so far we had a lot of acceleration and so on. This of course gives you a bad fuel economy, so we're more like about 12 liters now, but a more realistic figure for this engine here, it's the engine we've been driving on and on and on and on so many times, and that would be around like 8 liters normal kilometers, or about 30 mpg if you drive it in a rather calm way or with cruise control and so on. And of course here in normal D driving mode. So I really hope you enjoyed our interesting driving part here. There's also some beautiful winding roads here in the German countryside. Now let's head on over to our final conclusion. And now to our conclusion for today with the VW Arteon Shooting Brake. First of all, in general, the facelift for the Arteon is very interesting with the front changes, definitely light changes, so definitely a fresher look. On the interior, more infotainment, more digitalization. Yet at the same time, the new infotainment system that VW is offering at the moment, this is more complicated menu-wise, and they're also slower than before. They definitely need to fix that very important issue. In general, a very comfortable ride here as well. Long wheelbase, and also good with the adaptive suspension, especially should also go with that one. The shooting brake offers you more flexibility in the rear trunk, so just a little bit more versatile. Although, the standard Arteon, which is now called Gran Turismo, has this big hatch opening that is almost fastback-alike. This is still very practical, yes, but this one a little bit more, and it's also the question of design. And as we read your feedback, some of you definitely prefer even the shooting brake version here, and indeed very positive feedback also from our initial review that this one here, voted by the community, the Arteon shooting brake is now one of the most beautiful Volkswagen vehicles. So design-wise, I think really a hit. Really, a lot of design pleasure, so to speak, and also usable car and actually very comfortable ride. So these are the most important aspects about the Arteon. Yet again, I think downside is definitely now the infotainment system. And what else? As for the engines, the R-Line here that we had today, together with the powerful TSI, this is the one that comes close to the true R. We will also link the relevant videos in the video description. See you there.
Volkswagen.